Electricast. Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudette, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you've been along for the ride for a while, welcome back. I'm your host, Leslie, and I'm really excited to be speaking with my next guest, who is returning again today to support me in my gratitude series. Today, we're talking with the amazing and beautiful Jordiana Chevalier, or as she is fondly known by her friends, Jordi. Jordi is a spiritual life coach, business mentor, human design practitioner, and Reiki Level 2 practitioner. As I shared in my previous episode with Jordi, I have had the pleasure of her assisting me with my own human design chart, as well as that of my husband, which was really helpful, especially with me being a 3/5 projector who has a lot of open spaces on my chart, which really means I take on other people's energy. And because of Jordi, I have learned how to navigate my day to day and how to really honor myself. So thank you, Jordi, for that. So let's get started. Welcome, Jordi. I am so happy to have you back on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, well, I am so excited. Just if you could give our listeners a refresher on who you are and what you do, and then we're going to dive into the topic of gratitude.
Girl, you said it better than me. I mean, I do all of the things, including human design, and my mission really is to help women be empowered so that they don't need anyone outside of themselves. They just know who they are and trust themselves, and they can take over the world. That's really what I do.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think, too, the way you do it is that there's like that gentle touch. I think a lot of people, when they hear about energy healings or human design, where it's talking about like your chart and it's designed how your life is designed, some people might like say, whoa, wait a second. What are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that it's set in stone? And it's not necessarily, I would say, set in stone, but your life path, the things that you're doing are going to show up on your chart. I mean, it's just in there, black and white. So even if you are resistant to it, if you do go through the process, it's going to show up for you. So thank you for giving us a recap. So let's talk gratitude, because gratitude is the topic. The reason why I chose gratitude for November was because we're coming up on Thanksgiving. And as well, of course, Black Friday follows Thanksgiving. We know that's a huge shopping day. And that's where a lot of people, get into the holiday mood of buying gifts for the people in their families, if they celebrate Christmas and all of those things, if they're spending time with family around the dinner table, around Thanksgiving time, or even into Christmas. A lot of emotions can come up, I know, for sure, especially because it can be such a hectic time. It's the end of year, people get stressed. And so I want to know, in your experience, what are some effective ways to shift our focus from negativity or scarcity towards gratitude and abundance? And how can we integrate these mindset shifts into our daily lives?
Girl, it's perspective. Perspective is reality. A lot of times you could look at something, and again, this is extreme, cancer. Oh, it's so awful. It's so horrible. There are people who get defeated and literally, they pass on and they destroy a lot of lives on the way out. Just like there are people who take something like an illness and look at it as a superpower and they overcome it and they change the life of thousands of people. So gratitude is literally choosing to focus on the good. There's a song by Jason Mraz that's in my head. It said, look for the good. It's your perspective. You can find something good in everything, even if it's like, oh, my family is chaotic. You have a family. That's a blessing to be able to sit with your loved ones at the table. So in your daily life, it's just a matter of looking for the good, focusing on the perspective that empowers you and that gets you in a better state of mind instead of the one that tears you down and keeps you stuck in like everything is so hard. It's perspective is reality for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's like that, finding the gratitude in any given moment. I know it can be really hard at times, because especially if you're going through something difficult, but there's always something in that difficult time, if you just sit back and listen, there's that quote from, or I should say it's one of the principles of the book, You Are the Guru by Gabby Bernstein, where in stillness we receive. And I think that's where if you sit still, you'll receive those prompts, if you will. I've noticed that when I've done that. So yeah, I think it's really, it comes down to perspective. And if you're willing to at least say, I might not feel like it right now, but I'm willing to embrace the idea of looking for the good and then moving through my emotions. Because we know, like with anything, if you're that type of person who always, maybe your life was always around the glass is half empty rather than being optimistic that it's half full and what that the possibilities could be, you're looking at it being half empty. And so it's like that holding on to, I don't want to lose anything else. So I really appreciate your input on that one. With that being said, what's one practical tip or strategy that's personally benefited you and that you'd recommend to someone who wants to cultivate a daily gratitude practice?
Just making time and being intentional, literally sitting down with the intention of, I'm finding something to be grateful for. Maybe it was a hard day and all you can be grateful for is that you're home and you get to go to bed, but it's just a matter of making the time. Honestly, intentionality is key because we always say we're too busy to be grateful. We're too busy to find the time to slow down, like you said, to connect with your bodies, to be in the stillness. But it's a matter of choice. So the moment you decide that you have time to be grateful, you're not going to run out of things to be grateful for because you've decided that you're looking for it and your brain is literally wired to find the thing you're looking for the moment you ask.
Yeah. And so when you actually work with someone, or especially because of human design, how I know that I've really benefited from understanding my own human design. And of course, there's so much to learn. There's so much to know. But what that has done for me is opened up my eyes to seeing like, okay, this is how I'm wired, which is okay. I can give myself permission to be okay with that. But also like that's helped me to really start looking at how I am from that gratitude. So when it comes to your clients, how would you say that you work with your clients when it comes to human design their design as one aspect of it? And then how would you help them with embracing gratitude? Because I think that has to be part of it when we learn our energy, we learn our design. So how would you approach that?
Girl, yeah. What it looks like for me, really, I feel like human design is the ultimate tool for self-empowerment because it's like once you understand who you are, you stop apologizing for being who you are. And you're just like, oh no, I'm wired this way. And with that comes me helping you to shift the story. So literally my job is to help you shift perspective. For example, you as a projector, maybe you grew up being told you were lazy or being told that you should work harder, that you burn out too quickly, that you should do more. And you're actually not designed to do that. So when you stop apologizing for maybe I'm not meant to work 8-hour days or 10-hour days, I can only do 4-hour spurts, it takes away that pressure and it allows you to be grateful because you can do more in 4 hours than someone can do in 8 to 10 hours, right? So it shifts the conversation from what's wrong with me to what is beautiful about what is right with me. Because if this is who I am and I am fully aware that this is who I am, where is the good in this? And honestly, every single type, every single person, we're all so unique and different. We have our own gifts and our own talents, and they're not going to look like everyone else's. So when you dive into who you are, especially using the tool of human design, is you make peace with you, and then you find the beauty in you, and then you allow that beauty to shine, and you give it to other people as well. So I think it's magical to just get to know yourself. That self-awareness is key to understanding what is right and what is beautiful about you. And then you get to share that.
Oh, I love that. I love that explanation. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So how do you approach then yourself personally? How do you approach expressing gratitude to others in a meaningful way? And what are some creative or thoughtful ways that you've found to show that appreciation and foster deeper connections?
I love that question so much. It's just being present in the moment. If you feel something, say it. If somebody made you feel good, let them know. Taking the time to notice if someone's going through like a bad day and being like, hey, are you okay? Or, hey, I noticed you're a little down. Those moments are showing that I'm grateful that you're around. And I am so aware that you're with me and I care so much that I'm making time to check in. And obviously there's like the different types of love languages, and some people like quality time, some like gifts or words of affirmation. It's just a matter of being present enough to know that any little thing you could do, sometimes like putting away dishes, could be an act of gratitude. Being like, thank you for being in my life. Let me take this off your hands and do it for you. So it's just, again, perspective. What can you do to show someone that they are loved, that they are present in your heart, and that you are grateful for them? And just do it in the moment. Don't wait for later, because later might never come.
Yeah. And waiting to do an act of kindness for someone just so that you're seen doing it is really, then it takes away the beauty of it, like the love behind it. I think there's people who are out there who are, well, look at me. This is what I do. I'm giving away XYZ to this organization or to these people, or this is what I'm doing. I want you to see it so that I get the accolades, when really, it's coming from a place of love and you care about other people and the well-being, that doesn't matter to you. You don't need to have awards. You don't need to be recognized for what you're doing. What's important to you is the impact that it's having on the people in your life. So those small acts of kindness, even to say, like you were saying, doing the dishes for someone, picking up dinner, and of course, maybe you will benefit from it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're benefiting from it, that it's still not a time for you to feel grateful for what you do, because it makes you feel good. So I really love that. And fostering deeper connections, I think this is what one of the biggest things for me for what I do is helping my clients, the women that I work with, to really feel good about themselves, because that then in turn helps them to really be all in with their relationships, being grateful for the time that they spend with their significant other, with their children, with their extended family. It really brings, and they can feel gratitude for that. So that is really important. I really love the fact that gratitude can go such a long way, and it can be done in so many different ways. It's not just about just saying I'm grateful for it, but it's I'm grateful for, so I want to do this for you. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people maybe are not even thinking about.
I feel gratitude is action. It sounds like it's a feeling of, oh, I'm so grateful. But to give you an example, let's say you have a car, and this is an example I've lived through, right? For about 9 months, for whatever reason, I was driving my boyfriend's car. I wasn't going out as much. My car just sat there. And in 9 months, it just deteriorated. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for this car, but I wasn't driving it. I wasn't taking care of it. I wasn't washing it. And that could happen in relationships. That could happen with material things. That could happen with your health. We take it for granted. Being grateful for something is an action. It's a verb. You are actively showing gratitude for the thing that you have. If it's a loved one, like I said, doing something around the house or making them feel seen or validated, right? Your car. Thank you, God, for me, right? That I have this car, but like I'm showing it because I'm driving it, because I'm taking care of it, because I'm spending time appreciating the gift. Most of us live like we just take all this stuff for granted, like it's just always going to be there. And then when we don't have it, like, boom, I'm sick. Now I'm like, oh, I wish I had my health. When were you grateful to maintain your health if you weren't doing something every day to foster that gratitude? So a lot of people think gratitude is just in the knowing or the thinking of like, oh yeah, I appreciate that thing. But where are you showing that gratitude? Where are you showing that appreciation? And a lot of times it starts with yourself, like having gratitude for self, for your life, for your health, your well-being, everything that you have. So it starts with becoming aware. That's always step one, right? Like, oh, I have all this stuff to be grateful for. But where are you showing that? Does that reflect in your life? Or are we just pretending that all these things are guaranteed and I'm going to have them for the rest of my life? So for me, it's layered. It's deeper than just seeing it. It's also understanding that gratitude is you show that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. So when it comes to gratitude, what advice or encouragement would you give to someone who might find it challenging to find things to be grateful for, or who might be resistant towards embracing a grateful mindset?
Love that. I would say start small. If you can't find things to be grateful for, then what are some things you're glad that you have? Or things that you couldn't live without? Like, man, I'm so grateful I have internet, for example, or wow, at least I have one friend. it might not feel like gratitude because maybe there's a resistance to the word, but just being aware that you have something you can't live without, or something that you're glad you have, or something or someone that makes your life better. That is gratitude in itself. It's just shifting the perception of what you think it is to just being aware of, man, I have all these things. I feel really good about this. And then, add in the word thank you. Thank you to yourself, your family, whoever, whatever put it in your life. But gratitude is it's a choice. Just decide that now that I'm aware, I'm choosing to be grateful by acknowledging that I see this thing that's here in my life.
Yeah, I love it. And one of the things I love too about gratitude is just recently someone that I'm working with, I've had her doing an exercise going back from the beginning of when we first started to work together, and having her writing down all of the milestones that or the things in her life that have become positive that she started to notice. And just to bring her awareness around of all the goodness that she's creating, but all the goodness in her life. Mm-hmm. And it's been such a powerful exercise for her, because she said, I cannot believe that this is me today. But when you look back at where you were before and you see the journey and then the person that you're becoming, it's so beautiful. You start to really actually feel that gratitude. Mm-hmm. It's not, like you said, it's not just about saying it. It's not just about knowing that you have things in your life to be grateful for, but really feeling the gratitude for all of the things that are coming into your life, the people, the experiences, and, even going so far as, even if you get awards, like she just shared with me that she was getting another award. This is her second this year. And she was so grateful for it. It was unexpected. But when as you were saying earlier, when your life is reflecting that type of mindset, that person, that quality, that value, that comes back to you. It gets mirrored back to you. And that's what's happening in her life. And that's what I feel is such a beautiful thing for me to see, that makes me feel grateful, because she's mirroring back to me, what I'm giving to her, helping her getting through her journey this past few months, and seeing that. And it's not because of what I've done. It's because of her showing up for herself that I get to come along for the ride, which is such a beautiful thing for me. So I have really enjoyed working with her these past few months and just having that become part of my gratitude journey.
I love that. What you focus on is really what stays. Because when you're looking for problems, your mind is really good at creating them. But when you're looking for things to be grateful for, like the journey itself, sometimes we fixate on where we're going, or we haven't arrived, or this is the destination, and you forget where you started. Maybe before you didn't have a job and you were praying for it. Now you do. Now you want to save money. Maybe you don't have the salary you want, but you're at least having money coming in. It's the little things like that award that could make a difference if you chose to acknowledge those things instead of acting like they don't matter. The whole journey is beautiful. Every mistake is beautiful. Every person you meet, everything that goes right or wrong, good or bad, it's all a blessing because it's getting you closer to where you're going. But it's literally shifting your mindset from what we think gratitude is to just being aware. Awareness is what makes the difference between like the glass half full or half empty. Because for me, there was no glass. That's a box in itself. Can I just be where there has to be no limit of good or bad? I don't believe in any of that, right? But for the people that are stuck in that mindset of, I have nothing to be grateful for, or I don't know how to be grateful, focus on where were you a year ago? Where were you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? And look how far you've come, and you will have a million things to be grateful for.
Yeah. And that's really the point here, is that taking time to actually reflect on your life will help you to see that you do have, good things going on around you. But we live in this culture that it's, having a checklist, a to-do list, and marking things done, and then moving on to the next thing, that we forget to really take notice and be grateful for even that little task, because that little task could be part of a bigger picture that if you hadn't done that, the next step might have not made sense. And I think that's where I've learned to slow it down and embodied this mindset that where I truly believe, and this is just my own belief, but that I believe timing is more important than how much time it takes for me personally to achieve my goals. Because sometimes I am in those moments where something bigger and better, more exciting is revealing itself. And so because of this, I've adopted this mindset. I've also allowed myself to, if I have, some kind of bigger goal, I've added in buffer time. So extra time to have, when life decides to show up in a different way, maybe showing me something different. And that in itself, I am really grateful for, because a lot of really good things have revealed themselves. So I really feel like just finding the good, like you were saying, looking for the gratitude, it can be hard at first, but if you start becoming really like making that choice and becoming consciously aware of how you used to think or how you do think, and maybe you want to change that way of thinking, and it really just comes down to a choice, then you can start really seeing, like you'll start seeing things around you that maybe you hadn't noticed before. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really think that's so important. So I do have one more question for you, and it has to do, I want it to really align directly with what you're doing, because you are a spiritual life coach, you are a human design expert, and you also have your level 2 Reiki certificate, right? Your Reiki master or practitioner, I should say, a Reiki level 2 practitioner. Yeah. So with that being said, you focus on helping people live authentically based on who they are, how you see, helping them learn about their energies and how they are on paper, what it shows them, but also asking them more deeper level questions to see what their lifestyle is, what they've really, I guess, experienced, so you get a better idea. How has gratitude practices and abundance mindset supported your clients in aligning with their true self and purpose?
Yeah, I feel like gratitude is definitely a step. For me, when I'm working with someone, number one is self-awareness. How well do you know yourself? And if you think you know yourself, and then I see your chart and it's completely out of alignment, it's showing you that you've just fallen for society, conditioning, what you think you have to be. And once we do the unlearning, then comes the rebuilding. And rebuilding looks like, okay, what routines do you need in place? What do we need to create in your life so that you continue to stay aware and present to who you really are? And then the more you embody you and you come back to you, the more you find yourself being grateful or noticing things like, wow, I didn't realize how much my friend loved me until now, or wow, I didn't realize how much my partner did for me. And with that, gratitude is kind of part of it. It's kind of a step leading towards that authentic living, because there's no way you can be true to yourself and not be grateful for who you are, and not be grateful for the life you've led, and not be grateful for everything that led you to that moment, right? So if I were to quantify it, I would say gratitude is step 3. But first, we have to shed everything that you're not. We have to become aware of who you are. And gratitude just kind of becomes part of the process on its own, because you just find yourself, instead of waking up complaining, finding yourself just grateful for being alive, and grateful because you're breathing, and grateful because you chose to make your bed that morning. So building new habits, creating boundaries with people, starting to choose yourself, aligning with what the things that you really wanted to do. Gratitude is just part of the bonuses, I guess. You just kind of wake up one day and we're not living in a low vibration anymore. We're waking up feeling good and excited and aligned.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I think what was so powerful for me when we first started talking a few months ago about human design, and I told you a little bit more about me, you said to me, like, when I'm looking to do something with my life, it's giving myself permission to like take that pause and ask myself some questions,
Yes.
And it's not worrying that it's being selfish, the questions like what's in it for me? What do I want? Do I want to put my energy into this? Is this for me or not? And I really love that. That in itself is such a powerful way to like, again, be in stillness and receive your answers, but also be grateful that you can take that pause and you don't have to rush into so many things. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm doing this. Now, like right now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are frantic. We are in the last quarter of the year. It's moving quickly. And there's Black Friday that's coming up, and people are starting to get a little worried about like where they're at in their business or what in life. They start to ask that question, the all encompassing question, is this all there is to life? Which I did many years ago.
Mhm.
And now they're starting to panic. And I think when you can just give yourself permission to like, just take a pause, like look at around, what are you doing with your life? Is this what you want to do? Is this for you? Do you feel good about it? If it doesn't feel good, guess what? You don't have to do it. And
Yes.
you can be grateful for your intuition, for your, or as other people like to call it, your gut feeling.
Mhm.
But I think that's important. That's another way to express gratitude for yourself in your actions for yourself, because saying yes to things all the time that don't align with you are not going to serve you nor the other person you're saying yes to. And
Mhm.
so I really love the fact that gratitude really can be so much more than just the saying of it, the knowing of it, but it's
Mhm.
really the feeling and giving yourself permission to actually be out there doing things because you're grateful for the life you're living, and it gets
Mhm.
mirrored back to you. And I know just from knowing you, I feel so grateful that you're in my life.
Aw.
And so many people I know feel the same way because you have this really great energy about you that you make it seem so easy to just sit with you and talk to you about life and be able to like come up with a plan. And so I think that's really important when, if anyone is listening, if they've thought about or even heard about human design, maybe they are wondering, how does like being a spiritual life coach and human design expert, how would that benefit me? I can definitely say just from experience that having that conversation, especially with someone like Jordi, would benefit you to at least see, like, is this a path that you would want to go? And do you want to know yourself even better? Because I know for me, it's been just an amazing, I can't even really come up with the right word, but I guess an amazing experience, because I feel so much more alive knowing myself. Like I feel like I know myself
Mhm.
just from that.
I love that. And it's so unique to you. So for anyone who's listening, maybe your decision making isn't asking yourself, is this what I want? Maybe it is taking your time, like if you're emotional, or trusting that gut feeling in the moment, or maybe is process of elimination or talking to your friends. But like, what if you knew? What if you didn't have to guess? Like, how do I know it's right for me? You could just see like, oh, that's the way that I'm wired. This is how I make decisions. This is why I need to take my time. Or no, I can decide in the moment. The difference between people who know and don't is they decided to talk about it. They decided to look at it. And if human design has been ringing in your ear, or if you keep running into it or hearing about it, it's finding you for a reason. It's an opportunity to get to know yourself, to see who you are, and to align from that place. Because when you're making decisions, like you said, from that place, it's a feeling of like, man, everything is just working. Everything feels good. It feels like light and expansive and exciting. And that gratitude is just guaranteed. How can you not be grateful when you just wake up feeling amazing every day?
Yeah. I feel like for me, the word that comes up is aligned. And when I
Mhm.
say aligned, it really does have like a gratitude
Mhm.
aura about it for me, the word
Mhm.
aligned, because I feel like I am so much more aligned knowing who I am so that I can show up from that place. And it really does make a difference. And I can speak from experience. You can speak from experience. But if any of our listeners have never, taken that road to learn about it, I would definitely, as I said, encourage you just have a conversation with Jordi. Her information will be in the show notes, and you never know. It might be something that you'd be willing to take the extra steps. So, Jordi, thank you so much again for joining me here today and generously sharing about your wisdom in what you do and also around gratitude. I really, really have enjoyed our conversation. I'm again very grateful that our paths have crossed, and I deeply admire the work that you do. You are changing lives.
Thank you so much, girl. The feeling is mutual. Meeting you has been an honor, and everything you do, I love. So thank you for having me. And honestly, whoever this reached, thank you for listening, because this conversation is so valuable.
Yeah, for sure. So, and to our listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to check the show notes for Jordi's contact information if you'd like to further explore human design, spiritual life coaching, or even Reiki healing. I hope you feel inspired to infuse more gratitude and positivity into your daily life after hearing Jordi speak. I know that she inspires me on a daily basis. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time. Electric